It's the second beer in my November-December Fest project, and it's a style I am super eager to find out the end result of. But we're not going to get there unless we brew it, and that all starts right now. Welcome to Big Monster Brewing. I am Matt, and in this episode, we are brewing the second Oktoberfest-inspired beer that I'm making for this November-December Fest project. Whatever you want to call it, I just am really excited to get to this beer. So before we even get to brewing, let me say, if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell for those future videos that come out. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything to say, please leave them in the comments. I love interacting with other home brewers. I think that is absolutely the best way to learn and get new ideas. So don't hold back. All right, the style. It is a Festbier. It is the second. I wouldn't say second. It's the other most thought of traditional Oktoberfest beer. I think at this point it's a tie between the two. You got your Märzens and you got your Festbier. It's the kind of little lighter bodied, but still very malt forward. Lower ABV, brother to the Märzen for Oktoberfest. Not quite sure what to say about it. It's the one that nowadays is typically served in a giant liter. And that's the inspiration for the name, which you may already have seen on the title of this video. I've never made one before, and I'm super excited to try for many reasons. One, it's a style I really like. In fact, if you saw the Märzen video I made before this, I said how much I like that beer. Festbier, I can't say I like it better, but I can't say I like it less. I just like the entire range of Oktoberfest beers, so I'm as eager to make this and try this as I was the Märzen. So very exciting couple of brews here. But to brew it, we do need a recipe, and I do have one ready, and let's take a look at the grist here. It starts off with a very big addition of base malt of Pilsner malt at 84%. Then we're going to add a little bit more of that malt forward flavor with 10% Munich malt, and then round it all out with 6% Victory malt. I'm making a 2.5 gallon batch, mashing with the 6.5 gallon Foundry, and then boiling on propane. This is the second beer I made the same day I made the Märzen. They will be both fermenting together and both ready to try at the same time. For this beer, it's a single infusion mash at 150 degrees for 1 hour, and of course, recirculating the sweet wort that entire time. While I wait for that mash to completely convert, I'll get the boil additions ready. There's a little more to it than the Märzen, but not that much. It starts with 18 IBUs of Hallertauer Mittelfrüh at 60 minutes. Then there's just one more hop addition near the end, and that is 4 IBUs of Perle at 5 minutes. And of course with this we have my usual boil additions, which is yeast nutrients at 10 minutes, and then just a little bit of Whirlfloc at 2 minutes. At the end of the mash, I do a 10-minute mash out at 168 degrees. When that's done, I lift the malt pipe out of the foundry and I sparge with 1 gallon of 168 degree water. Once the sparge is done, I transfer the sweet wort into my boil kettle, and again I am using propane to boil this, and we're going for a big 90-minute boil with this beer. the end of the boil, I chill the wort down as low as I can before I transfer it to my 3-gallon carboy. I cover it, get it into the fermentation fridge to lower the wort to a pitching temperature of 52 degrees. After pitching the yeast, I follow the Brewlosophy lagering method once again. And once that's done, I transfer it to a keg, carb it with my Blickman Quick Carb, and put it on tap next to the Märzen I made that very same day. And for once, I have full taps on my kegerator, and it's with 2 styles. That is kind of a dream come true. At least I hope it is. Let's taste the second one and find out. Tasting time! I'm just super excited to try this. It was a great brew day for both beers. That's something I haven't got to talk about in either video. It went pretty flawlessly. I can't really think of anything worth mentioning, good or bad. The weather was nice. There's actually some nice cloud cover, so cleaning everything in between brews wasn't in the oppressive Central Florida sun. And I hit almost all my numbers. We're talking like minuscule points off, if any. So, I mean, now it's time to taste. And I have it ready. You saw the pour. And I will say, you're probably wondering, with these being Oktoberfest, why you're drinking in such small glasses. In this particular case, this recording, it is 9:47 on a Sunday morning, and I haven't eaten a thing yet. That's the case with this beer. But don't worry, I am fully prepared to give this a proper taste when we're done. But for this video, I'm going a little lighter because I'll have to edit this too, and let's not get too out of hand. All right, let's talk about the appearance. I'm going to wipe off the condensation. I hope the clarity is coming through. Well, I like that. I love how my face looks in that. So actually, it'd be better. Oh, can I get it over here? It might be better with the blank part of the wall to see how well this clarity is. Actually, look at the painting. Look at the pictures, the drawings behind them. You can't see the detail because they're pretty far away, but you can see that there's drawings behind me. That's how clear this came out. And again, I use Biofine in this and Whirlfloc, so credit to both of those items for dropping everything out. The head never got really big on the pour. Maybe that's because of the very high Pilsner beer content. But what's there on the rim, on the collar, is staying pretty well. So the carbonation is good. The head retention, not as good as the Märzen. Let's get to the aroma. Again, you're just punched right in the nose with the malt, but not as sweet. There's a sweetness to it, but it's more with that Pilsner malt. There's a little bit of breadiness, a little bit of cracker, and that distinctive Pilsner sweetness, which is different than that rich Marisotter and Munich malt that we had in the Märzen. There's more hop character in this than the last one, but that's not hard because the other one had none. There's just a hint of floral, like kind of more of a wildflower, like something you'd catch the wind of, maybe like a jasmine when you're outside, not at someone's garden, but just outside and there's some wildflowers. You kind of got that little bit of a almost a sharp, bordering on perfumey floral sweetness to it. That's probably from the Perle hops because that's the latest edition, but it's not very heavy. It's mostly malt forward. Taste. That is the important part for me because I've been dying to taste this. First, I'm gonna because of just to credit where credit is due. Super clean. That Brewlosophy lagering fermentation has changed everything I do with lagers. After that, man, even on this finish, like after even talking there, this has all the malt characters that are not in the Märzen, and I'll try to explain best I can. First off, there's an initial sweetness from the Pilsner malt, which if you've brewed with it, you come to expect. But there's also something that I absolutely love about pale lagers, and some blonde ales can do this too. There is this really enjoyable, distinct biscuit, weedy, like the kind of bready malt flavor It kind of reminds me of, I've explained this and I haven't really got anyone to agree with this. It reminds me of a first bite of a Triscuit. A Triscuit is, wheat woven into a cracker. And if it's not too salted, you'll get that kind of raw wheat flavor. That is what I'm getting in the finish on this that I absolutely love in pale lager beers. And this has it where the Marzen did not. The sweetness, a lot less sweetness in this than the Marzen. Again, not cloyingly. It is definitely the malt sweet. Victory isn't a big sweet caramel addition at all. In fact, it's probably contributing more to that biscuit flavor. So I wasn't expecting a lot of upfront sweetness, but it's still very malt forward. It is going to be a great complement to the Marzen the rest of the time that both are around, but yet they're distinctively different. Not even in appearance, but in taste. I could blind taste this with some people and they would be able to tell the difference without knowing what the style is. And that's what's really fun about both these styles. As far as hops go, really only coming out in aroma. I mean, there's always an underlying bitterness, especially when you add a 60-minute charge and a hour or more boil. But as far as anything distinctively prominent, past bitter, not really coming out. Or if it's even in there, it's being hidden by that malt character. Yeah, it's simple and straightforward. And that's another thing I like about these two styles is that they're not super, there's a complexity to them without being overly complex. You can make a beer with anything you want. Let's face it, that's what this hobby's about. But you can go out and make a beer, get it within a style and add some complexity to it that have people talking and thinking and trying to figure it out for pints and pints and pints. And that's great. And I love to do that. You've seen some of my videos. I mean, the Murder Hornet's a perfect example of doing something that is just to talk about. There's also something to be said to make a beer that's to drink. And I don't mean to hydrate. I just mean to sit and enjoy and drink. And both these styles are perfect examples of that, which completely stands to reason. That's why they're served traditionally at Oktoberfest events. All right, I think I'm going to wrap up there because I'm just going to be repeating myself and just keep drinking this beer on an empty stomach, which that's not going to be good for anybody in the end. So I do have to say before I completely wrap up, thank you for watching, of course. Absolutely thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed celebrating a little bit of Oktoberfest in November and December. That's just the way the cards fell, the way the calendar worked out this year. I hope as this channel continues, I'm able to plan better and get things lined up so that if you're looking for ideas and methods and recipes, that you'll have that information before you get to the point you have to brew it to be ready for your timeline. I hope that made sense. In my head, it sounded better than it probably came out. But I will say these videos will be online as long as YouTube allows me to keep them. So you can always bookmark this and save it for next year. Next video should be a little more timely, at least as far as sharing it with everyone and talking about it. And that is going to be my holiday ale. And I'm not going to correct that statement to give away the surprise. My holiday ale. And if you're a fan of 90s sitcoms, that will all make sense later. So until then, any comments you have, questions, or anything you have to say otherwise, please leave them below. I said it last episode, interacting with other home brewers at any level is the absolute best way to learn things and get new ideas. So I'm very happy to answer any questions, follow up on any comments anyone has on any of it. If you're finding this 5 years later and YouTube's still a thing, leave a comment. I will do my best to respond. So, yeah, that is it. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next episode.